The threshold of silence. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Right now, in this very moment, your entire body is vibrating to rhythms you cannot hear. These are not sounds in the traditional sense. They exist below the threshold of human hearing, yet they move through you like invisible waves through water. You feel them before you understand them. They shape your mood, influence your sleep, trigger your deepest fears, and connect you to a world that exists beyond the reach of conscious awareness. Welcome to the realm of infrasound, where silence itself becomes a force that transforms how you think, how you feel, and how you exist within this world. For centuries, humans have sensed something we could not name. Ancient peoples spoke of tremors in the earth that preceded earthquakes. Sailors described the peculiar dread that accompanied certain storms, a sensation that went deeper than the visible thunder and lightning. Architects noticed that some buildings made people uneasy without any obvious reason. Musicians discovered that certain frequencies could move audiences to tears even when the notes remained inaudible. Science dismissed these experiences as folklore or imagination until researchers began to understand that our bodies possess sensory capabilities far beyond what we typically acknowledge. The discovery of infrasound changed everything. Below 20 Hz, the lowest frequency most humans can consciously perceive as sound, lies an entire spectrum of vibrations that your body detects through mechanisms we are only beginning to comprehend. These frequencies travel through air, through earth, through water, and through the very structure of buildings around you. They enter your chest cavity and resonate with your organs. They interact with your nervous system, triggering responses that feel spontaneous, but are actually the result of millions of years of evolutionary programming. Your body is a resonance chamber, constantly receiving and interpreting signals from an invisible universe of vibrations. Before we journey deeper into this extraordinary realm, I invite you to join our community. Subscribe to the Relaxing Science channel so you never miss an exploration of the hidden forces that shape your existence. Give this video a like if you feel drawn to understand the invisible world within and around you. And in the comments below, please share your location and the time where you are right now. We want to know where you are listening from, because these vibrations connect all of us across this planet, and your presence matters to this conversation. The promise of this experience is profound. By the time we complete this journey together, you will understand why certain spaces make you anxious. You will recognize the infrasound signatures of natural phenomena that have guided human survival since the beginning of time. You will learn how modern urban environments assault your nervous system with frequencies you never knew existed. You will discover why some people seem more sensitive to these vibrations than others, and you will gain practical knowledge about how to work consciously with these invisible forces rather than being unconsciously controlled by them. Science reveals that infrasound is not a fringe phenomenon or a New Age concept. It is a measurable, quantifiable reality that affects every human being on this planet. Military researchers have studied it. Architects account for it when designing buildings. Therapists are beginning to use it for healing. Animals demonstrate their awareness of it in ways that still astound us. Yet most people move through their lives completely unaware that they are constantly bathed in these invisible vibrations, responding to them at levels far deeper than conscious thought. Your body knows things your mind has not yet learned. When you walk into a room and feel inexplicably uncomfortable, your body is responding to infrasound. When you lie awake at night without knowing why, infrasound may be disrupting your sleep cycles. When you feel an inexplicable sense of dread before a storm arrives, your nervous system has already detected the infrasound signature of the atmospheric disturbance. When you sit in a concert hall and feel moved to tears by music, part of that response comes from frequencies below the threshold of hearing that your entire body experiences as vibration. The science underlying this phenomenon is elegant and accessible. It does not require advanced degrees or specialized equipment to understand. What it requires is openness to the possibility that your senses extend far beyond what you have been taught to recognize. It requires willingness to feel rather than only to think. It requires curiosity about the mechanisms that connect you to every other living being and to the earth itself through invisible threads of resonance and vibration. Throughout this experience, we will explore the pathways through which infrasound affects you. We will examine the evolutionary reasons why your body developed these sensitivities. We will investigate the sources of infrasound in both natural and human-made environments. We will delve into the neuroscience of fear and emotion as it relates to these frequencies. We will discover how your own body generates infrasound and how this internal vibration communicates with the external world. We will explore therapeutic applications and learn how to cultivate awareness of these invisible forces in your daily life. This is not merely an intellectual exercise. This is an invitation to deepen your relationship with reality itself, to recognize that you are not separate from the vibrating universe around you, but rather an integral part of a vast, interconnected web of resonance. To understand that what you perceive as silence is actually filled with infinite activity. To appreciate that your sensitivity to these frequencies is not a weakness or an anomaly, but rather a remarkable feature of human biology that connects you to something much larger than yourself. The journey begins now, and it unfolds through understanding. Each layer of knowledge will reveal new dimensions of how infrasound shapes your experience of being alive. Some of what you learn may surprise you. Some may explain experiences you have had but could never quite articulate. Some may shift how you relate to your own body and your environment. All of it points toward a deeper truth. You are far more sensitive, far more connected, and far more attuned to the subtle frequencies of existence than you have ever imagined. Beyond the eardrum, the conventional understanding of hearing presents a limited picture of how sound interacts with the human body. We are taught that sound waves enter the ear canal, vibrate the eardrum, and trigger a cascade of events that culminate in conscious perception of sound. This model works well for the range of frequencies between roughly 20 Hz and 20,000 Hz, the typical range of human hearing. But it completely ignores what happens when frequencies fall below that threshold. The truth is far more complex and far more revealing about the nature of human sensation. When infrasound enters your body, it does not primarily engage your ear. Instead, it bypasses the conventional auditory system entirely and communicates directly with your physical structure through a process called vibrotactile perception. Your entire body is covered with specialized nerve endings called mechanoreceptors that detect physical vibration and pressure. These receptors are concentrated in your skin, but they exist throughout your body, including in your organs, your bones, and your connective tissues. When low-frequency vibrations move through your environment, they set your entire physical form into resonance, and these mechanoreceptors fire signals to your brain that your conscious mind interprets as sensation rather than as sound. Imagine your body as a vast instrument, like a cathedral organ with millions of strings. When infrasound enters this instrument, it does not pluck individual strings with precision. Instead, it causes the entire structure to vibrate in sympathy with the frequency. Your chest cavity acts as a resonance chamber. Your abdomen responds as a separate resonating space. Your bones conduct vibrations like tuning forks. Your organs, your heart, your lungs, your liver, all have natural resonant frequencies, and when external infrasound matches these frequencies, a phenomenon called mechanical resonance occurs. The vibrations amplify and intensify, creating physical sensations that your nervous system must interpret and respond to. The human body contains a remarkable structure called the vestibular system, located in the inner ear. Most people know this as the system responsible for balance, and that is true. But the vestibular system is also exquisitely sensitive to low-frequency vibrations. It contains specialized cells that detect motion and acceleration, and these cells respond to infrasound in ways that are only now being fully understood. When your vestibular system detects infrasound, it sends signals to your brain that can influence your sense of orientation, your emotional state, and your perception of space. This is why infrasound can create feelings of unease or dislocation that seem to have no obvious source. Your vestibular system is telling your brain that something is wrong, even though you cannot consciously hear anything. The vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in your body, plays a crucial role in how infrasound affects you. This nerve extends from your brainstem all the way down through your torso, innervating your heart, lungs, and digestive system. It is sometimes called the wandering nerve because of its extensive reach. When infrasound vibrates your body, It stimulates the vagus nerve, which then communicates with your brain about what is happening in your body. This communication influences your heart rate, your breathing patterns, your digestion, and your emotional state. The vagus nerve is particularly sensitive to low-frequency vibrations, which is one reason why infrasound can have such profound effects on your physiology, without you ever consciously hearing it. Your nervous system contains two primary branches: the sympathetic nervous system, which activates your fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes relaxation and recovery. Infrasound has the capacity to activate either system depending on the frequency, the intensity, and the context. Certain infrasound frequencies can trigger sympathetic activation, causing your heart to race, your muscles to tense, and your mind to become hyper-alert. Other frequencies can activate the parasympathetic system, promoting relaxation and deeper states of calm. This dual capacity explains why infrasound can either disturb you or soothe you, depending on the circumstances. The brain itself responds to infrasound through pathways that are distinct from traditional hearing. Functional brain imaging studies have shown that when people are exposed to infrasound, specific regions of the brain activate, particularly the amygdala, which processes fear and emotion, and the insula, which processes interoception or internal bodily sensation. These activations occur even when people are not consciously aware that they are being exposed to infrasound. Their brains are detecting and responding to the vibrations at a level below conscious awareness, which explains why infrasound can influence your emotions and your state of being without you understanding why you feel the way you do. The phenomenon of resonance is fundamental to understanding how infrasound affects you. Every object has a natural resonant frequency, the frequency at which it vibrates most efficiently. Your body, like every physical structure, has multiple resonant frequencies. When external infrasound matches one of these frequencies, the vibrations amplify dramatically. It is as if someone discovered the exact frequency at which a particular part of your body wants to vibrate and then played that frequency directly into your structure. The result is an amplified vibration that your nervous system detects intensely. This is why exposure to infrasound can sometimes feel overwhelming or unsettling, even if the vibrations are relatively subtle in terms of absolute energy. The organs of your body are particularly responsive to infrasound because they are filled with fluid and suspended within cavities. Your heart, your lungs, your stomach, your liver. All of these organs have natural resonant frequencies in the infrasound range. When infrasound of the matching frequency enters your body, these organs begin to vibrate more intensely. This is not harmful in small doses, but chronic exposure to infrasound that matches your organ resonant frequencies can create persistent physical discomfort and can dysregulate your nervous system over time. This is one reason why people who live in environments with high levels of infrasound, near major highways, near industrial facilities, or in certain buildings with poor acoustic design, often report feeling chronically unwell without being able to identify a specific cause. The skin itself is an organ of extraordinary sensitivity, and it contains millions of mechanoreceptors that detect vibration across a wide range of frequencies. When infrasound passes through your environment, it vibrates the very surface of your body, and these surface receptors communicate with your nervous system about what is happening. This is why you can sometimes feel infrasound as a tingling sensation, a sense of pressure, or a subtle vibration that you cannot quite locate. Your skin is literally feeling the vibrations, even though your ears cannot hear them. This dual sensory pathway, through mechanoreceptors in the skin and through the vestibular system and internal organs, means that your body has multiple ways of detecting and responding to infrasound. Understanding these pathways transforms how you relate to your own body. You begin to recognize that you are not a passive receiver of sensory information, but rather an active resonator, constantly in dialogue with the vibrational environment around you. Your body is not a machine that simply processes inputs and produces outputs. It is a living, breathing instrument that participates in the symphony of vibrations that constitutes reality. When you feel something without knowing why, your body may be responding to infrasound. When you sense that something is wrong in a space, even though nothing appears amiss, your nervous system may be detecting infrasound that your conscious mind has not yet recognized. The ancient tremor, To understand why humans are sensitive to infrasound, we must journey backward through time to the earliest chapters of our evolutionary history. Long before humans developed language, long before we built cities or created machines, our ancestors walked across a landscape filled with natural infrasound. The rumble of distant earthquakes traveled through the ground beneath their feet. The roar of approaching storms carried infrasound signatures that preceded the visible weather by hours. The vocalizations of large animals, elephants, whales, bison, included infrasound components that carried messages across vast distances. The wind itself, as it moved across mountains and through valleys, generated infrasound that shaped the acoustic environment in which early humans lived. Our ancestors who survived to pass on their genes were those who could sense these subtle vibrations and interpret them correctly. A person who could feel the infrasound signature of an approaching earthquake and move to higher ground had a better chance of survival than someone who did not detect the warning. A hunter who could sense the infrasound rumble of a distant herd of large animals could position himself more strategically for the hunt. A person who could feel the infrasound precursor to a severe storm could seek shelter before the danger became obvious. Over thousands of generations, natural selection favored individuals whose nervous systems were particularly attuned to these low-frequency vibrations. The capacity to sense infrasound became encoded into human biology as a survival mechanism. This evolutionary history is written into your nervous system. Your amygdala, the ancient part of your brain that processes fear and threat, is exquisitely sensitive to infrasound. This is not because your modern brain has learned to be afraid of infrasound. It is because your amygdala is ancient, shaped by millions of years of evolution to respond to the vibrational signatures of genuine danger. When you feel an inexplicable sense of dread in response to infrasound, you are not experiencing an irrational fear. You are experiencing the activation of a survival mechanism that has kept humans alive since before we even had language to describe what we were sensing. The vestibular system, which detects balance and motion, is one of the oldest sensory systems in vertebrate animals. It evolved long before vision, long before hearing as we know it. Fish have vestibular systems that help them navigate through water and detect vibrations in their aquatic environment. As animals evolved and moved onto land, the vestibular system became even more refined. Mammals, including humans, inherited this ancient system and enhanced it over millions of years. Your vestibular system is not just about balance. It is a sophisticated detector of low-frequency vibrations and motion, a system that has been refined through countless generations of evolutionary pressure to keep you safe from threats you might not consciously perceive. The vagus nerve, which we discussed in the previous section, is another ancient structure whose roots extend deep into evolutionary history. This nerve evolved as a way for the body to communicate with the brain about internal states and external threats. When infrasound vibrates your body, the vagus nerve carries information about these vibrations to your brain, where it is processed in ancient neural structures that existed long before the development of language and conscious thought. This is why infrasound can trigger responses that feel primal and beyond your conscious control. You are not choosing to feel afraid or unsettled. Your ancient brain is automatically responding to a signal that has carried significance for your species for hundreds of thousands of years. Consider the experience of an earthquake. Moments before the ground shakes violently, infrasound travels through the earth at the speed of seismic waves. This infrasound reaches your body and is detected by your vestibular system and your mechanoreceptors before the more violent shaking begins. For a brief moment, sometimes only a few seconds, you feel something wrong, something off, even though you might not consciously understand what you are sensing. In that moment, your ancient nervous system is preparing you for the danger that is about to arrive. Your heart begins to race, your muscles tense, your mind becomes hyper-alert. By the time the violent shaking begins, your body is already partially activated and prepared to respond. This is not coincidence. This is evolution speaking through your nervous system. Throughout human history, cultures around the world have developed practices and beliefs that reflect an intuitive understanding of these low-frequency vibrations. Many indigenous cultures speak of sensing the Earth's heartbeat. Shamanic traditions describe journeying to other realms through sound and vibration. Meditation practices in various traditions emphasize the importance of tuning into the subtle vibrations within your own body. These practices were not based on modern scientific understanding, yet they reflected a deep embodied knowledge that humans are sensitive to vibrations that extend far beyond ordinary hearing. This intuitive knowledge was passed down through generations because it proved effective. People who learned to attune themselves to these subtle vibrations seem to have better health, better intuition, and better connection to the natural world. The relationship between humans and infrasound is not one of recent discovery. Ancient peoples understood at a visceral level that certain places felt different because of vibrations they could not see or hear. Sacred sites were often chosen because of their unique vibrational properties. Temples and cathedrals were built with specific architectural features that created particular acoustic and vibrational environments. These structures were not designed by accident. They were the result of centuries of accumulated knowledge about how certain shapes, materials, and configurations of space could create specific effects on the human nervous system through infrasound and other vibrational phenomena. The phenomenon of collective sensing also has deep evolutionary roots. Humans are social animals, and our survival often depended on the ability to sense danger as a group. If one person detected infrasound that signaled an approaching threat, that person's nervous system would activate in a way that was visible to others through body language and behavior. Others would sense this activation and would themselves become more alert. This cascade of nervous system activation could spread through a group rapidly, allowing everyone to prepare for danger based on the sensing of a single individual. This collective responsiveness to infrasound is still part of human nature. In a crowded space where infrasound is present, people often report feeling a collective unease or anxiety without anyone consciously discussing the source of the feeling. Your sensitivity to infrasound is not a weakness or an anomaly. It is a feature of your biology that has been refined through countless generations of natural selection. It is a capacity that once kept your ancestors alive. It is a connection to a lineage of humans stretching back into the deep past, all of whom were sensitive to the vibrations of their world. When you feel something in response to infrasound, you are not being irrational or overly sensitive. You are participating in a biological legacy that extends back through millions of years of evolution. You are connected to the same survival instincts that have kept humans alive through ice ages, through asteroid impacts, through countless environmental challenges. Your sensitivity to infrasound is ancient wisdom encoded in your nervous system. Storms in your chest. The natural world is filled with infrasound. Every storm that moves across the sky generates infrasound through multiple mechanisms. As wind accelerates and forms rotating columns of air, it creates pressure waves that include frequencies far below the range of human hearing. These infrasound waves travel outward from the storm system at the speed of sound, reaching areas far beyond where the visible storm clouds have yet arrived. This is why people often report feeling uneasy or anxious hours before a storm becomes visible. The infrasound signature of the storm has already reached them, and their nervous systems are responding to the signal of approaching danger. The pressure changes that accompany storm systems also generate infrasound. As a storm approaches, atmospheric pressure drops. This change in pressure is felt not just by instruments but by your body as well. Your ears contain air-filled chambers that respond to pressure changes. Your sinuses are air-filled cavities that resonate with pressure fluctuations. Your lungs, filled with air, respond to atmospheric pressure changes. When these air-filled spaces in your body resonate with the infrasound frequencies generated by pressure changes, you experience physical sensations that your nervous system interprets as discomfort or unease. This is why many people report feeling pressure in their heads or a sense of heaviness in their chest before storms arrive. The infrasound is literally creating pressure waves within your body. Thunder itself, while it includes frequencies that you can consciously hear, also generates significant infrasound components. The initial shock wave created by lightning is so violent that it generates frequencies across the entire acoustic spectrum, from infrasound up through ultrasound. When you hear distant thunder, what you are actually hearing is the high-frequency component of the sound. But the infrasound component is traveling through your body as well, and you feel this as a vibration in your chest and a tremor in the ground. This combination of hearing the thunder while simultaneously feeling the infrasound component is what creates the sense of power and awe that people experience during thunderstorms. Wind patterns themselves generate infrasound continuously. When wind moves across landscape features, it creates vortices and pressure patterns that include low-frequency vibrations. Strong winds moving across mountains can generate infrasound that travels for hundreds of kilometers. Hurricanes and tornadoes generate infrasound signatures that are particularly intense. People living in regions prone to severe weather often develop an unconscious sensitivity to the infrasound signatures of approaching dangerous weather systems. They may not consciously understand why they feel anxious or unsettled, but their bodies have learned to recognize the infrasound patterns that precede severe weather events. Distant earthquakes generate infrasound that travels through the earth and through the atmosphere. Seismic waves move through rock and soil, and as they do, they create vibrations that include infrasound frequencies. These vibrations can travel thousands of kilometers from the epicenter of an earthquake. People living far from the epicenter often report feeling something unusual at the moment an earthquake occurs thousands of kilometers away, even though the shaking at their location is imperceptible. What they are sensing is the infrasound component of the seismic waves traveling through the earth. Their bodies are detecting these vibrations through the ground beneath them, and their nervous systems are responding to the signal. Ocean waves generate infrasound through several mechanisms. As waves move across the ocean surface, they create pressure fluctuations in the water and in the air above the water. When waves break on beaches, the sudden collapse of water creates infrasound. Large swells generated by distant storms travel across the ocean as both visible waves and as infrasound pressure waves that move through the water and into the atmosphere. People living near coastlines are constantly bathed in infrasound generated by ocean waves. Surfers often report a particular sensitivity to the infrasound signatures of different wave conditions. They can sense the quality and size of incoming swells through infrasound before they see the waves, allowing them to prepare mentally and physically for what is coming. Waterfalls generate significant infrasound through the turbulent motion of water as it falls and crashes. The roar of a waterfall is not just the high-frequency sound that you consciously hear. It is also a substantial infrasound component generated by the chaotic motion of millions of water droplets creating pressure waves. People who spend time near waterfalls often report feeling a sense of calm or peacefulness that goes beyond what the visible scenery alone would suggest. This is because the infrasound generated by waterfalls may be activating the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation and well-being. The infrasound is literally soothing your nervous system as you stand in proximity to the waterfall. Wind through forests generates infrasound as air moves through complex arrangements of trees and vegetation. Different forest compositions create different infrasound signatures. People who spend time in forests often report feeling restored or calmed by the experience. Part of this effect may come from the infrasound environment of the forest. The gentle infrasound generated by wind moving through trees may be promoting relaxation and nervous system regulation. This could explain why so many cultures and spiritual traditions place sacred significance on forests and recommend spending time in natural environments for health and well-being. Volcanic activity generates intense infrasound. As magma moves through the Earth's crust, it creates pressure waves that include infrasound. Volcanic eruptions generate infrasound that can be detected thousands of kilometers away. People living near volcanoes develop an intuitive sensitivity to the infrasound signatures of volcanic activity. They learn to interpret the subtle vibrations as signals of danger or relative safety. This knowledge has allowed human communities to live near volcanoes for thousands of years, sensing when activity is increasing and when it is safe to remain in the area. Lightning itself, in addition to the thunder it generates, creates electromagnetic disturbances that may interact with the human nervous system in ways we are only beginning to understand. Some researchers suggest that the electromagnetic pulses from lightning may influence human biology directly, independent of the sound waves that accompany lightning. Whether this is true or not, it is clear that people living in regions with frequent lightning storms develop particular sensitivity to the infrasound and electromagnetic signatures of thunderstorms. The infrasound generated by natural phenomena is not random. Each type of natural event, earthquakes, storms, ocean waves, wind, waterfalls, has a particular infrasound signature. Your nervous system has evolved to recognize these signatures and to interpret them as signals about what is happening in your environment. When you feel something in response to natural infrasound, you are not imagining it. You are participating in a biological sensing system that has been refined through evolution to keep you safe and to help you navigate the natural world with greater awareness and preparedness. The machines around us. Modern urban environments are saturated with human-generated infrasound. Unlike the infrasound of natural phenomena, which tends to be episodic and variable, the infrasound created by machines and infrastructure is often constant and relentless. Your body does not have millions of years of evolutionary experience with this type of infrasound. Your nervous system has not been shaped by natural selection to handle the continuous artificial infrasound that characterizes modern life. This mismatch between your evolved sensitivities and your modern environment may be one reason why so many people report feeling chronically stressed, anxious, or unwell in urban environments. Traffic generates infrasound through multiple mechanisms. Large vehicles moving at high speeds create infrasound through engine vibration, tire noise, and aerodynamic effects. Diesel trucks, in particular, are significant generators of infrasound because of the lower frequencies of diesel engines compared to gasoline engines. When a truck passes you on the street, you hear the engine noise as a high-frequency rumble, but your entire body is also being vibrated by the infrasound component. People who live near major highways report higher rates of sleep disruption, anxiety, and cardiovascular problems. Some of this effect is certainly due to the noise itself, but research suggests that the infrasound component of traffic noise plays a significant role in these health problems. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, known as HVAC systems, generate substantial infrasound. These systems move large volumes of air through ducts and vents, creating pressure fluctuations and vibrations that include infrasound frequencies. In buildings with poorly designed HVAC systems, the infrasound can be pervasive throughout the structure. People working in such buildings often report feeling inexplicably tired, anxious, or unable to concentrate. They may not consciously hear the HVAC system, but their bodies are being continuously vibrated by the infrasound it generates. Some modern office buildings have been retrofitted with better acoustic design, specifically to reduce infrasound generation by HVAC systems, and workers in these buildings report improved well-being and productivity. Industrial equipment generates infrasound through mechanical vibration and pressure fluctuations. Manufacturing facilities, power plants, and other industrial sites are sources of continuous or near-continuous infrasound. People living near these facilities often report health problems that seem disproportionate to the level of noise they consciously perceive. This is because much of the acoustic energy generated by industrial equipment is in the infrasound range, which they do not consciously hear but which their bodies are continuously detecting and responding to. Over time, chronic exposure to this infrasound can dysregulate the nervous system and contribute to a variety of health problems. Construction equipment generates intense infrasound. Jackhammers, pile drivers, and other heavy equipment create low-frequency vibrations that propagate through the ground and through the air. People living near construction sites often report feeling unsettled or anxious, even if they are indoors and cannot hear the equipment clearly. The infrasound is traveling through the ground and through the structure of buildings, vibrating people's bodies directly. This is why construction work can be so disturbing to nearby residents, even when precautions are taken to reduce audible noise. Trains and railways generate infrasound as heavy vehicles move along metal rails. The interaction between wheels and rails creates vibrations that include infrasound frequencies. These vibrations travel through the ground, and buildings near railway lines often transmit these vibrations to their occupants. People living near railway lines often report sleep disruption and a general sense of unease that is disproportionate to the audible noise level. The infrasound is disrupting their sleep and affecting their nervous system regulation throughout the night. Wind turbines have become a subject of controversy, partly because of infrasound. Large wind turbines generate infrasound through the rotation of their blades and through mechanical vibration in the structure. People living near wind turbines sometimes report symptoms that include sleep disruption, headaches, and a sense of unease. Some researchers attribute these symptoms to infrasound generated by the turbines, while others suggest alternative explanations. What is clear is that wind turbines do generate infrasound, and this infrasound does propagate through the air and through the ground to nearby residences. Electronic equipment generates infrasound in ways that many people do not realize. Computer servers, refrigerators, and other electrical equipment all generate low-frequency vibrations. In data centers and server rooms, the accumulated infrasound from hundreds or thousands of machines creates an intense vibrational environment. People who work in these environments often report feeling unwell, even though they may not consciously perceive the source of their discomfort. The infrasound is affecting their nervous systems continuously throughout the day. Airplanes generate intense infrasound both during flight and on the ground. The engines of aircraft produce infrasound as a byproduct of their operation. People living near airports are exposed to episodic but intense infrasound from aircraft. Over time, this exposure can dysregulate the nervous system. Research has shown that people living near airports have higher rates of sleep disruption, anxiety, and cardiovascular problems, and infrasound is believed to play a role in these health outcomes. Modern urban environments create a composite infrasound environment that is qualitatively different from anything humans have experienced in evolutionary history. The infrasound from traffic, HVAC systems, industrial equipment, construction, and other sources combines to create a constant background of low-frequency vibration. Your nervous system is continuously detecting and responding to this infrasound, even though you are not consciously aware of it. Over time, this constant stimulation can dysregulate your nervous system, leading to chronic stress, sleep problems, anxiety, and a variety of other health issues. The tragedy of this situation is that most people do not realize that their discomfort is being caused by infrasound. They may blame themselves, assuming they are overly sensitive or anxious. They may try various remedies without realizing that the fundamental problem is the infrasound environment in which they are living or working. Understanding that infrasound is a factor in your well-being is the first step toward taking action to reduce your exposure or to work more consciously with the infrasound environment around you. When fear has no sound, the human experience of fear is complex and multifaceted. We fear things we consciously perceive: a dangerous animal, a threatening person, an immediate physical danger. But we also experience fear that seems to have no obvious source. We feel uneasy or anxious in certain spaces without being able to explain why. We sense danger before anything obviously dangerous has appeared. This type of fear, fear without an obvious object, is sometimes called dread or uncanny feeling. Infrasound plays a significant role in generating this type of fear. The amygdala, a structure deep within the brain, is responsible for processing emotional responses to threat. It is an ancient part of the brain, evolutionarily speaking, and it operates largely outside of conscious awareness. When the amygdala detects a signal that it interprets as threatening, it triggers a cascade of physiological responses. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, your muscles tense, your attention becomes hyper-aligned toward threat detection. All of this happens automatically, without conscious deliberation. This is the fight or flight response, and it is designed to prepare your body for immediate action in response to danger. Infrasound activates the amygdala directly, bypassing the higher cortical structures that would normally process sensory information consciously. When infrasound of certain frequencies enters your body, it triggers amygdala activation in the same way that a consciously perceived threat would trigger it. Your body responds as if danger is imminent, even though you have not consciously perceived anything threatening. This is why infrasound can create a sense of dread or unease that feels irrational. Your conscious mind does not have information about the threat, but your amygdala has already activated your threat response system. The uncanny feeling, that sense that something is wrong even though you cannot identify what, is a particular type of fear response that is closely associated with infrasound exposure. When you enter a space where infrasound is present, your amygdala may activate in response to the infrasound, but your conscious mind has no obvious explanation for why you feel afraid. This mismatch between your conscious perception and your emotional response creates a peculiar sense of disorientation and unease. The feeling is often described as a sense that the space itself is somehow wrong, or that there is something about the environment that is not right. In reality, your nervous system is responding to infrasound, but because the threat is invisible and inaudible, you cannot consciously explain the feeling. This uncanny response to infrasound has been documented in haunted buildings and locations with a reputation for being unsettling. Researchers have measured high levels of infrasound in some of these locations and have hypothesized that the infrasound is responsible for the sense that the space is haunted or otherworldly. When people enter a space with high infrasound levels, their amygdala activates. They experience fear and dread, and they may interpret this fear as evidence of supernatural phenomena. In reality, the infrasound is creating a physiological response that their conscious mind interprets as evidence of something extraordinary or frightening. The relationship between infrasound and fear is not always about high-frequency fear or acute threat. Infrasound can also create a sense of subtle unease or discomfort that persists over time. Chronic exposure to infrasound in your home or workplace can create a low-level activation of your threat response system that is present throughout the day. This chronic activation can dysregulate your nervous system, making you more reactive to other stresses and more prone to anxiety and depression. You may not consciously realize that the infrasound is the source of your discomfort. You may simply feel that you are more anxious or stressed than you used to be, without understanding why. The vagus nerve, which we discussed earlier, plays a crucial role in how infrasound generates fear responses. The vagus nerve carries sensory information from your body to your brain, allowing your brain to know what is happening in your internal environment. When infrasound vibrates your organs and tissues, the vagus nerve communicates this information to your brain. If the brain interprets these signals as indicating danger or threat, it can trigger fear responses. Additionally, the vagus nerve is involved in regulating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for calming your body and promoting relaxation. Chronic infrasound exposure can dysregulate vagal function, making it harder for your body to shift into relaxation and recovery modes. The phenomenon of collective fear in response to infrasound is also well documented. In situations where infrasound is present, groups of people often report feeling anxious or afraid, even if they are not consciously aware of the infrasound. This collective response can amplify the fear response in individuals. If one person becomes anxious in response to infrasound, others in the group may sense this anxiety and become anxious themselves. This cascade of fear can create an intense collective experience of dread or fear without anyone understanding what has triggered it. Some research suggests that infrasound may play a role in experiences that people describe as paranormal or supernatural. Witnesses to supposed paranormal events often describe feeling intense fear, seeing shadows or figures, or sensing a presence in the space. When researchers have measured infrasound levels in some of these locations, they have found elevated levels. This has led to the hypothesis that infrasound, rather than actual paranormal activity, may be responsible for these experiences. The infrasound activates the amygdala, creating fear and a sense of threat. At the same time, the infrasound may be affecting visual perception or creating illusions through effects on the visual cortex. The result is an intense, frightening experience that people interpret as evidence of something supernatural, when in reality, it is a physiological response to infrasound. Understanding the relationship between infrasound and fear is empowering. When you understand that the fear you are experiencing may be a response to infrasound rather than a response to an actual threat, you can respond more calmly and rationally. You can acknowledge the fear response while recognizing that it may not be indicating genuine danger. You can take steps to reduce your exposure to infrasound or to work consciously with your nervous system to regulate the fear response. This understanding transforms fear from something mysterious and overwhelming into something that can be understood and managed. The sleep paradox. Sleep is one of the most important processes in human biology. During sleep, your brain consolidates memories, your body repairs itself, and your immune system strengthens. Sleep disruption can have serious consequences for your health and well-being, yet millions of people struggle with sleep problems, often without understanding the underlying cause. Infrasound may be playing a significant role in sleep disruption for many people. The relationship between infrasound and sleep is complex and somewhat paradoxical. On one hand, certain types of infrasound can disrupt sleep by activating the nervous system and creating physical discomfort. On the other hand, other types of infrasound may actually promote deeper, more restorative sleep. Understanding this paradox requires understanding how infrasound affects the sleep-wake cycle and the physiological processes that occur during sleep. Sleep is regulated by multiple systems in the brain and body. The circadian rhythm, controlled by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain, sets the overall timing of sleep and wakefulness. The homeostatic sleep drive, created by the buildup of adenosine in the brain during waking hours, promotes sleep pressure that increases throughout the day. The balance between these two systems determines when you feel sleepy and when you feel alert. Infrasound can affect both of these systems, disrupting the normal sleep-wake cycle. Infrasound in the range of approximately 10 to 15 Hz has been shown to have particularly disruptive effects on sleep. This frequency range is close to some of the natural resonant frequencies of the human brain and body. When exposed to infrasound in this frequency range, people often experience increased wakefulness, more frequent arousals during sleep, and reduced time spent in deep sleep stages. They report feeling that they did not sleep well, even if they spent the same amount of time in bed as usual. The infrasound is creating micro-arousals, brief moments of partial wakefulness that fragment sleep and reduce its restorative quality. The mechanism by which infrasound disrupts sleep involves the activation of the threat response system. When infrasound enters your body as you are falling asleep, it can activate your amygdala and sympathetic nervous system, pulling you out of the relaxation state necessary for sleep onset. If you manage to fall asleep despite the infrasound can trigger micro-arousals throughout the night, preventing you from reaching the deep restorative stages of sleep. Over time, chronic exposure to sleep-disrupting infrasound can lead to chronic sleep deprivation and all of the associated health consequences. The vestibular system plays a crucial role in sleep regulation. As you fall asleep, your vestibular system becomes less responsive to external stimuli. This is part of the normal process of sleep onset. However, if infrasound is activating your vestibular system, it can interfere with this normal transition into sleep. The infrasound is essentially keeping your vestibular system in an alert state when it should be down-regulating. This prevents you from fully relaxing and falling asleep. Interestingly, not all infrasound disrupts sleep. Some frequencies and intensities of infrasound may actually promote deeper sleep. Infrasound in the range of approximately 5 to 8 Hz has been associated with relaxation and deeper sleep in some studies. This frequency range is close to the frequency of the theta waves that occur during deep restorative sleep. When exposed to infrasound at this frequency, some people report falling asleep more easily and experiencing better quality sleep. The infrasound may be helping to synchronize brain activity with the natural sleep rhythm, promoting deeper sleep states. This paradox, that some infrasound disrupts sleep while other infrasound promotes sleep, suggests that the relationship between infrasound and sleep is frequency dependent. Different frequencies of infrasound have different effects on the nervous system and on sleep physiology. Understanding which frequencies are disruptive and which might be supportive could have significant implications for sleep health. People who live or work in environments with continuous infrasound in the disruptive frequency range often develop chronic sleep problems. They may lie awake for hours without understanding why they cannot sleep. They may fall asleep, but then wake frequently during the night. They may sleep for 8 hours, but wake feeling as if they have not slept at all. These sleep problems can persist for years, leading to chronic sleep deprivation and all of its associated health consequences. Many people in this situation do not realize that infrasound is the cause of their sleep problems. They may try various sleep aids and remedies without addressing the underlying infrasound exposure. The irony is that many modern bedroom environments are filled with sources of sleep-disrupting infrasound. HVAC systems running throughout the night generate infrasound. Traffic noise, particularly from trucks and buses, includes infrasound components. Electronic equipment in the bedroom, alarm clocks, phone chargers, and other devices may generate infrasound. Even the refrigerator in the kitchen, if the bedroom is nearby, can generate infrasound that propagates through walls and floors. All of this infrasound can be disrupting sleep without you consciously realizing it. People who are particularly sensitive to infrasound often report that they sleep better when traveling to locations where infrasound levels are lower. They may sleep better in rural areas away from traffic and industrial noise. They may sleep better in hotels in certain locations and worse in others, depending on the infrasound environment. Some people find that they sleep better when sleeping outdoors, where the infrasound environment is different from indoor spaces. These observations suggest that infrasound is indeed playing a significant role in sleep quality for many people. Understanding the relationship between infrasound and sleep opens up new possibilities for improving sleep quality. If you are struggling with sleep, it may be worth investigating the infrasound environment in your bedroom. Are there sources of infrasound that could be reduced or eliminated? Could your bedroom be redesigned to reduce infrasound transmission? Could you be exposed to supportive infrasound frequencies that promote deeper sleep? These questions point toward practical interventions that could significantly improve sleep quality for many people. Rhythm beneath. Rhythm. Your body generates its own infrasound continuously. Your heartbeat, your breathing, your brain waves, and other physiological processes all include frequency components in the infrasound range. These internal vibrations are not incidental. They are fundamental to how your body functions, and they play a crucial role in how your body communicates with itself and with the external environment. Your heartbeat is perhaps the most obvious source of internal infrasound. Your heart beats at a rate of approximately 60 to 100 times per minute, which corresponds to frequencies of approximately 1 to 2 hertz. This is well within the infrasound range, but the heartbeat generates more than just a simple 1 to 2 hertz frequency. The complex pattern of heart contractions generates harmonics and overtones that extend into higher frequencies. Additionally, the pressure waves created by each heartbeat propagate through your blood vessels and throughout your body, creating vibrations that include infrasound components. Your breathing generates infrasound through the movement of air through your respiratory system and through the expansion and contraction of your chest cavity. Normal breathing occurs at a rate of approximately 12 to 20 breaths per minute, corresponding to frequencies of approximately 0.2 to 0.3 hertz. This is extremely low-frequency infrasound. The pressure changes created by breathing propagate throughout your body, affecting the air-filled spaces in your sinuses, your ears, and your lungs. These pressure changes create vibrations that extend into the infrasound range. Your brain generates electrical activity that occurs at various frequencies depending on your state of consciousness. Delta waves, which occur during deep sleep, have frequencies of approximately 0.5 to 4 hertz. Theta waves, which occur during meditation and light sleep, have frequencies of approximately 4 to 8 hertz. Alpha waves, which occur during relaxation, have frequencies of approximately 8 to 12 hertz. Beta waves, which occur during normal waking consciousness, have frequencies of approximately 12 to 30 hertz. While brain waves are electrical phenomena rather than mechanical vibrations, they can influence mechanical vibrations in your body through effects on the nervous system and through resonance effects in various tissues. The vagus nerve, in addition to detecting external infrasound, also carries signals about your internal physiological state. When your heart rate increases, the vagus nerve communicates this information to your brain. When your breathing changes, the vagus nerve communicates this as well. These signals are part of how your brain monitors and regulates your internal physiological state. Additionally, the vagus nerve influences your heart rate and breathing through its parasympathetic effects. This creates a bidirectional communication system between your brain and your body, mediated in part by the vagus nerve, through which information about internal physiological state is communicated continuously. The concept of heart rate variability is relevant here. Heart rate variability refers to the variation in time between successive heartbeats. A healthy heart does not beat at a perfectly regular rhythm. Instead, there is natural variation in the interval between beats. This variation is controlled by the balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system activity. When you are relaxed and healthy, heart rate variability tends to be higher, meaning there is more variation between beats. When you are stressed or unwell, heart rate variability tends to be lower. The infrasound generated by your heartbeat carries information about your heart rate variability, and this information can be detected by your nervous system and can influence your overall physiological state. The concept of entrainment is crucial to understanding how internal and external infrasound interact. Entrainment refers to the tendency of oscillating systems to synchronize with each other. When two oscillating systems are exposed to each other, they tend to adjust their frequencies to match. Your heartbeat, your breathing, and your brain waves are all oscillating systems. When exposed to external infrasound, these internal oscillations can entrain to the external frequency. This means that external infrasound can influence your heart rate, your breathing rate, and your brainwave patterns. Conversely, your internal infrasound vibrations can influence how you respond to external infrasound. The phenomenon of heart-brain coherence is particularly interesting. When your heart rate variability is high and your heart rhythms are coherent, your brain waves also tend to be more coherent and organized. In this state, you experience better emotional regulation, improved cognitive function, and greater sense of well-being. Heart-brain coherence can be disrupted by stress, anxiety, and chronic infrasound exposure. When you are exposed to disruptive external infrasound, your heart rate variability decreases, your heart rhythms become less coherent, and your brain waves become more chaotic. This can create a cascade of negative effects on your emotional state and your physical health. Your body's internal infrasound vibrations are constantly communicating with others around you. Research on mirror neurons and empathetic resonance suggests that when you are near another person, your nervous systems can entrain to each other. Your breathing can synchronize with their breathing. Your heart rate can shift toward their heart rate. Your brain waves can begin to resonate with theirs. Part of this synchronization may be mediated by the infrasound generated by each person's body. Your body is sensing the infrasound generated by the other person's heartbeat and breathing, and your own physiological systems are adjusting in response. This is one mechanism through which empathy and emotional connection occur between people. The concept of coherence extends beyond individual people to groups and communities. When people gather together, their individual physiological rhythms can entrain to create a collective rhythm. This is part of what happens at concerts, religious gatherings, and other collective experiences. The infrasound generated by each person's body contributes to a collective infrasound environment that all participants are experiencing. This collective infrasound environment can promote a sense of unity and connection, or it can create discord and discomfort, depending on the nature of the gathering and the individual participants. Understanding your body's internal infrasound opens up possibilities for working more consciously with your own physiology. By learning to modulate your breathing and heart rate, you can influence the infrasound your body generates. By practicing meditation or other relaxation techniques, you can shift your brainwave patterns and create greater coherence between your heart and brain. By becoming aware of how your body's infrasound interacts with external infrasound, you can make choices about your environment and your practices that support your health and well-being. Architecture of unease. Buildings are not passive containers for human activity. They are complex acoustic and vibrational systems that generate, transmit, and modify sound and vibration in ways that profoundly affect the people who inhabit them. Every building has its own acoustic signature, its own pattern of how sound and vibration propagate through its structure. Some buildings feel comfortable and conducive to well-being, while others feel unsettling or disturbing without any obvious reason. Infrasound plays a significant role in these differences. The structure of a building determines how infrasound propagates through it. Large open spaces like atriums or auditoriums have different infrasound characteristics than small enclosed rooms. Buildings with rigid, concrete structures transmit infrasound more efficiently than buildings with flexible wooden structures. Buildings with poor acoustic design may have standing waves of infrasound at certain frequencies, where the infrasound bounces back and forth between walls, creating areas of high infrasound intensity. People working or living in these high-intensity areas may experience discomfort, anxiety, or other symptoms without understanding the cause. HVAC systems are major sources of infrasound in modern buildings. Air moving through ducts at high velocity creates turbulence that generates infrasound. Pressure fluctuations created by the HVAC system propagate through the building structure and through the air, affecting everyone in the building. Poorly designed HVAC systems can create intense infrasound that fills the entire building. People working in such buildings often report feeling tired, anxious, or unable to concentrate, even though they may not consciously perceive the source of their discomfort. Some modern buildings have been retrofitted with better HVAC design, specifically to reduce infrasound generation, and workers in these buildings report improved well-being and productivity. The resonant frequencies of a building structure determine which infrasound frequencies are amplified and which are attenuated. Every building structure has natural resonant frequencies that depend on its size, shape, and material composition. When external infrasound matches one of these resonant frequencies, the infrasound is amplified as it propagates through the building. People in the building experience this amplified infrasound more intensely. Architects and engineers who design buildings with infrasound in mind try to avoid having resonant frequencies that match common sources of external infrasound, such as traffic or industrial equipment. The phenomenon of building sway is relevant to infrasound propagation. Tall buildings sway slightly in response to wind and other external forces. This sway can generate infrasound through the movement of the structure. People in tall buildings sometimes report feeling motion sickness or dizziness that goes beyond what the visible sway of the building would suggest. The infrasound generated by building sway may be affecting their vestibular system, creating a sense of motion that is stronger than what their visual system is detecting. Certain buildings have acquired reputations for being haunted or unsettling, and research has suggested that infrasound may play a role in these reputations. Researchers have measured high levels of infrasound in some supposedly haunted buildings. When people visit these buildings, they experience fear, dread, and a sense that something is wrong with the space. They may interpret these experiences as evidence of paranormal activity. In reality, the infrasound in the building is activating their amygdala and creating a sense of fear and unease. The building's architecture or mechanical systems are generating infrasound, and this infrasound is creating a physiological response that people interpret as evidence of something supernatural. Some buildings are specifically designed to create particular infrasound environments for therapeutic or spiritual purposes. Certain temples and sacred spaces have been constructed with specific acoustic properties that create infrasound at frequencies believed to be beneficial for meditation or healing. The architecture of these spaces, the size, shape, and materials, is carefully designed to generate or amplify infrasound at specific frequencies. People meditating or praying in these spaces may experience deeper states of relaxation or spiritual connection, partly because of the infrasound environment created by the architecture. The concept of acoustic comfort is increasingly recognized as important in building design. Buildings that are acoustically comfortable promote well-being, productivity, and health in their occupants. Buildings that are acoustically uncomfortable can create chronic stress and health problems. Infrasound is a significant component of acoustic comfort. Buildings designed with infrasound in mind, with HVAC systems that minimize infrasound generation, with structural designs that avoid problematic resonant frequencies, with materials that absorb rather than amplify infrasound, create more comfortable environments for their occupants. The relationship between building design and human psychology is complex. A building that feels unsettling may be unsettling partly because of its infrasound environment, but also because of its visual design, its materials, its lighting, and many other factors. However, understanding that infrasound plays a role in how buildings affect us opens up new possibilities for design. Architects and engineers can take infrasound into account when designing buildings, creating spaces that are more comfortable and supportive of human well-being. Modern office buildings often create particularly problematic infrasound environments. The combination of HVAC systems, traffic noise, and other mechanical equipment generates infrasound that fills the building. People working in these buildings are exposed to continuous infrasound throughout the day. Over time, this exposure can dysregulate their nervous systems, leading to stress, anxiety, and health problems. Some companies have begun to recognize the importance of acoustic design and have invested in retrofitting their buildings with better acoustic properties. Workers in these retrofitted buildings report improved well-being and productivity. The experience of living in a city exposes you to a very different infrasound environment than living in a rural area. Cities are filled with sources of infrasound, traffic, HVAC systems, construction equipment, and many other sources. The cumulative effect of all this infrasound creates a pervasive low-frequency vibration throughout urban environments. Over time, chronic exposure to this urban infrasound environment can dysregulate your nervous system and affect your health and well-being. Understanding this difference between urban and rural infrasound environments helps explain why many people report feeling better when they leave the city and spend time in nature. The healer's frequency. While much of our discussion of infrasound has focused on the problems it can create, infrasound also has therapeutic potential. Certain frequencies and patterns of infrasound can promote healing, reduce pain, enhance meditation, and support overall well-being. Understanding and working with these therapeutic frequencies opens up new possibilities for health and healing. Research has shown that infrasound at certain frequencies can reduce pain perception. When people experiencing chronic pain are exposed to carefully calibrated infrasound at specific frequencies, they often report a reduction in pain intensity. The mechanism by which this occurs is not completely understood, but it likely involves the infrasound interacting with the nervous system in ways that modulate pain perception. The infrasound may be promoting relaxation and reducing the stress response, which can decrease pain perception. Alternatively, the infrasound may be directly affecting pain processing pathways in the brain. Infrasound in the range of approximately 5 to 8 Hz has been associated with relaxation and meditation. This frequency range corresponds to theta brainwaves, which occur during deep meditation and relaxation. When people are exposed to infrasound at this frequency, their brainwaves may entrain to this frequency, promoting a state of deep relaxation. Many meditation practitioners report that meditating in environments with this infrasound frequency is easier and more effective than meditating in other environments. The infrasound is essentially helping to synchronize their brainwaves with the meditative state. The concept of vibration therapy is based on the idea that the human body can be healed through exposure to specific vibration frequencies. Different frequencies are believed to have different effects on different parts of the body. Some practitioners use infrasound frequencies to promote healing in specific organs or tissues. While the scientific evidence for some of these claims is still developing, there is growing research support for the therapeutic effects of certain infrasound frequencies. Certain breathing practices generate infrasound that may be therapeutically beneficial. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you generate infrasound at frequencies that may promote relaxation and healing. Some yogic and meditative traditions have emphasized slow, deep breathing for centuries, and this may partly be because of the therapeutic infrasound generated by this type of breathing. The infrasound generated by slow, deep breathing may be promoting parasympathetic nervous system activation, which promotes relaxation and healing. Certain types of music, particularly those with low-frequency components, may have therapeutic effects partly because of their infrasound content. Some research suggests that music with infrasound components can promote relaxation, reduce anxiety, and enhance meditation. Composers and sound therapists are beginning to deliberately incorporate infrasound frequencies into their work for therapeutic purposes. The concept of cellular resonance suggests that different frequencies correspond to different cells and tissues in the body. According to this theory, when you expose your body to a frequency that matches the resonant frequency of a particular tissue, that tissue resonates and vibrates more intensely. This resonance may promote healing by increasing circulation, reducing inflammation, or stimulating cellular repair processes. While the scientific evidence for cellular resonance is still developing, the concept is intriguing and suggests that specific infrasound frequencies might have targeted therapeutic effects. Some practitioners use infrasound frequencies to promote emotional healing and psychological well-being. Certain frequencies are believed to facilitate the release of emotional trauma or to promote emotional balance. While the mechanisms are not completely understood, there is anecdotal evidence that exposure to specific infrasound frequencies can promote emotional healing. The infrasound may be working through the vagus nerve and through effects on the limbic system, the brain structures involved in emotion and memory. The use of infrasound for therapeutic purposes is still in relatively early stages of development. There is growing research support for certain applications, but much more research is needed to fully understand the therapeutic potential of infrasound and to develop safe and effective protocols for its use. However, the potential for infrasound as a therapeutic tool is significant, and it represents an exciting frontier in medicine and healing. One important caveat is that not all infrasound is beneficial. As we discussed earlier, certain frequencies and intensities of infrasound can be harmful, disrupting sleep and dysregulating the nervous system. The difference between therapeutic infrasound and harmful infrasound lies in the frequency, the intensity, and the context. Therapeutic infrasound is typically at lower intensities and at frequencies that promote relaxation and healing. Harmful infrasound is typically at higher intensities or at frequencies that activate the threat response system. Understanding these differences is crucial for safe and effective use of infrasound for therapeutic purposes. Animals that hear silence. Humans are not the only animals sensitive to infrasound. Many other species perceive infrasound, and for many of these species, infrasound plays a crucial role in communication, navigation, and survival. Understanding how other animals perceive infrasound provides insight into the evolutionary significance of infrasound sensitivity and into the nature of infrasound itself. Elephants are famous for their ability to sense infrasound. Elephants use infrasound for long-distance communication, with calls that can travel for many kilometers through the ground and through the air. Elephant infrasound communication includes frequencies as low as 14 Hz, which is below the range of human hearing. Elephants use these infrasound calls to communicate about the location of water sources, to coordinate group movement, and to express emotion and social bonding. The sensitivity of elephants to infrasound is so refined that they can detect the infrasound calls of other elephants from many kilometers away. This long-distance communication is crucial for elephant survival in African landscapes where water sources are scarce and widely dispersed. Whales use infrasound for communication across vast distances in the ocean. Some whale species produce calls with frequencies as low as 5 Hz or even lower. These infrasound calls can travel hundreds of kilometers through water, allowing whales to communicate across ocean basins. Whales use infrasound for mating calls, for coordinating group movement, and for expressing emotion and social bonding. The ability of whales to hear infrasound is so refined that they can detect calls from other whales that are very distant. Commercial shipping noise, much of which is in the infrasound range, is believed to interfere with whale communication and to contribute to whale populations' decline. Many birds have the ability to sense infrasound, though they do not produce infrasound calls themselves. Birds use infrasound sensitivity to detect atmospheric pressure changes, to navigate during migration, and to sense the approach of predators or other threats. Some birds are believed to use infrasound to navigate by detecting the infrasound generated by ocean waves and coastlines, allowing them to navigate across featureless ocean during migration. Pigeons have been shown to use infrasound for navigation. Pigeons are famous for their homing ability, their ability to return to their home location from great distances. Researchers have hypothesized that pigeons may be using infrasound generated by ocean waves and other environmental sources to create a mental map of their environment. The infrasound provides a stable reference point that pigeons can use to navigate. Many mammals have the ability to sense infrasound, though the specific role of infrasound in their lives varies by species. Rodents, for example, can sense infrasound and may use this ability to detect the approach of predators or to navigate in their environment. Some research suggests that rodents may use infrasound for communication, though this is less well established than in elephants and whales. The ability of animals to sense infrasound suggests that infrasound is a fundamental feature of the natural world, and that infrasound sensitivity has been selected for through evolution in many different species. This evolutionary conservation of infrasound sensitivity across diverse species suggests that infrasound perception provides significant survival advantages. Animals that can sense infrasound have better information about their environment and can respond more effectively to threats and opportunities. The discovery of infrasound sensitivity in other species has practical implications for human activities. For example, the recognition that infrasound from commercial shipping interferes with whale communication has led to efforts to reduce shipping noise in areas where whales live. The recognition that infrasound from wind turbines may affect bird navigation has led to efforts to site wind turbines in locations that minimize impact on bird populations. Understanding how other animals perceive infrasound helps us understand the environmental impact of human activities that generate infrasound. The diversity of infrasound producing and infrasound sensing abilities across different species suggests that infrasound is a rich and complex part of the natural world. Different species have evolved different abilities to produce and perceive infrasound based on their specific ecological niches and survival needs. Elephants and whales produce infrasound for long-distance communication because they live in environments where such communication is valuable. Birds sense infrasound for navigation and threat detection because these abilities enhance their survival. The interconnected web of infrasound communication and perception across different species suggests that infrasound is a language of the natural world, one that humans are only beginning to understand. Your body as an instrument. You are not a passive receiver of infrasound. You are an active participant in the world of vibration. Your body generates infrasound. Your body responds to external infrasound, and you have the capacity to learn to sense your own vibrational field and to work consciously with the infrasound around you. This section explores practical ways to develop greater awareness of and relationship with infrasound. The first step in developing awareness of infrasound is to develop awareness of your own body's vibrations. Your heartbeat, your breathing, and the subtle vibrations that occur throughout your body are constantly generating infrasound. By learning to sense these internal vibrations, you develop a foundation for sensing external infrasound as well. One simple practice is to place your hand on your heart and feel your heartbeat. As you feel your heartbeat, notice the vibrations that radiate outward from your heart through your chest. Notice how the vibration changes as your emotional state changes. Notice how your heartbeat responds to different situations and environments. Breath awareness is another fundamental practice. As you breathe, your entire body is generating infrasound. By bringing awareness to your breathing, you can begin to sense the vibrations associated with breathing. One practice is to breathe slowly and deeply, and as you do, to notice the physical sensations in your body. Notice how your chest expands and contracts. Notice the subtle vibrations that occur throughout your body as you breathe. Notice how your breathing changes in response to different situations and environments. Grounding practices can enhance your sensitivity to infrasound. When you are in direct contact with the earth, whether by walking barefoot on soil or grass, or by sitting with your back against a tree, you are in direct contact with the earth's vibrational field. The earth is constantly vibrating due to seismic activity, wind, water movement, and many other sources. When you are in direct contact with the earth, you can sense these vibrations more directly. Many people report feeling more grounded and more connected to the natural world after spending time in direct contact with the earth. This may partly be because they are sensing the earth's vibrational field through infrasound. Meditation practices can enhance your sensitivity to subtle vibrations. When you meditate, your mind becomes quieter and more spacious, and you become more aware of subtle sensations that you might normally overlook. Many meditators report developing increased sensitivity to vibrations and to subtle sensations in their body through regular meditation practice. This enhanced sensitivity includes sensitivity to infrasound and to the subtle vibrations generated by your own body and by your environment. Movement practices such as yoga, tai chi, and qigong can enhance your awareness of your body's vibrational field. These practices emphasize slow, mindful movement and awareness of subtle sensations in the body. Many practitioners report developing increased sensitivity to vibrations and to subtle energy flows in their body through regular practice. This enhanced sensitivity includes sensitivity to infrasound and to how infrasound affects your body and your state of being. Sound and music practices can also enhance your sensitivity to infrasound. Playing musical instruments, singing, or listening to music with attention to the full spectrum of frequencies can help you develop awareness of low-frequency vibrations. Many musicians report that they can feel infrasound vibrations in their body when they listen to or play music with significant low-frequency content. This tactile sensation of low-frequency vibrations is infrasound perception. Developing awareness of how different environments affect your state of being is another important practice. Pay attention to how you feel in different locations. Do certain buildings or spaces make you feel uneasy or anxious? Do certain outdoor environments make you feel calm and peaceful? Do certain times of day feel different in terms of your emotional state? By paying attention to these patterns, you can begin to develop awareness of how infrasound in your environment is affecting you. You may notice that you feel more anxious on days with particular weather patterns, or more calm in certain locations. These patterns may reflect your sensitivity to infrasound in these different environments. Working consciously with your breathing and heart rate can help you influence the infrasound your body generates and your overall state of being. Slow, deep breathing promotes relaxation and generates infrasound at frequencies that may be therapeutic. Fast, shallow breathing generates infrasound at frequencies that may promote alertness. By consciously modulating your breathing, you can influence the infrasound your body generates and promote particular states of being. Creating a supportive infrasound environment in your home and workspace is a practical step you can take. This might include reducing sources of disruptive infrasound, such as HVAC systems or traffic noise. It might include adding acoustic treatments to reduce infrasound transmission. It might include deliberately incorporating supportive infrasound frequencies through music or other sound sources. By creating a more supportive infrasound environment, you can promote better sleep, reduced anxiety, and improved overall well-being. Connecting with others who are interested in infrasound and vibration can be valuable. Sharing experiences and learning from others' practices can enhance your own development. Many communities have meditation groups, yoga classes, and other practices that involve working with subtle vibrations and infrasound. Participating in these communities can deepen your practice and your understanding. The invisible conversation. Humans are not isolated beings. We are constantly in relationship with our environment and with each other. Part of this relationship is mediated through infrasound. The infrasound generated by your body communicates information about your emotional and physiological state to others around you. The infrasound in your environment communicates information about what is happening in the world around you. Understanding these invisible conversations opens up new dimensions of human connection and awareness. The concept of emotional contagion suggests that emotions spread from person to person through unconscious mechanisms. When you are near someone who is anxious or afraid, you may begin to feel anxious or afraid yourself, even if the other person has not explicitly communicated their emotion to you. When you are near someone who is calm and peaceful, you may begin to feel calm and peaceful yourself. Part of this emotional contagion may be mediated through infrasound, the infrasound generated by the other person's body, their heartbeat. Their breathing, their nervous system activation, carries information about their emotional state. Your nervous system detects this infrasound and responds by shifting toward a similar emotional state. The phenomenon of mirror neurons is relevant here. Mirror neurons are brain cells that fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing the same action. Mirror neurons are believed to be involved in empathy, in learning through observation, and in social bonding. The activity of mirror neurons may be triggered or modulated by infrasound. When you observe someone else, you are not just seeing their actions. You are also hearing and feeling the infrasound they are generating. This infrasound may be triggering mirror neuron activity and promoting empathetic resonance. The concept of collective resonance suggests that groups of people can synchronize their physiological and emotional states through infrasound. In group settings, at concerts, religious gatherings, protest movements, or other collective experiences, the infrasound generated by each person's body combines to create a collective infrasound environment. This collective infrasound environment can promote a sense of unity and connection, or it can create discord and discomfort depending on the nature of the gathering and the individual participants. When people are in resonance with each other, they experience a sense of connection and shared purpose. When people are not in resonance, they experience discord and separation. The practice of synchronized breathing is used in many traditions to promote connection and bonding. When multiple people breathe together in synchrony, they are generating synchronized infrasound through their breathing. This synchronized infrasound may be promoting nervous system synchronization and emotional bonding. The practice of singing together also creates synchronized infrasound through the vibrations of multiple voices. This synchronized infrasound may be one reason why singing together is experienced as bonding and connecting. The concept of empathetic resonance suggests that empathy is not just an emotional or cognitive phenomenon, but also a vibrational one. When you feel empathy for another person, your nervous system is resonating with theirs. Your heart rate, your breathing, and your brain waves may be shifting towards synchrony with theirs. Part of this resonance may be mediated through infrasound. The infrasound generated by the other person's body is being detected by your nervous system and is influencing your own physiological state. The relationship between infrasound and social bonding has implications for understanding human communities and societies. Communities where people are frequently in synchronous resonant states may develop stronger social bonds and greater cohesion. Communities where people are frequently in discordant states may develop weaker social bonds and greater conflict. This suggests that the infrasound environment of a community may influence the social dynamics and cohesion of the community. The concept of collective trauma is relevant here as well. When a community experiences a traumatic event, the infrasound environment of the community may be affected. People in the community may be generating infrasound signatures of stress and fear. This collective infrasound may be affecting the nervous systems of all people in the community, creating a collective trauma response. Understanding this collective infrasound dimension of trauma may open up new approaches to healing collective trauma. The infrasound generated by your body and the infrasound in your environment are constantly communicating information about what is happening in your world. Your body is sensing this information and responding to it. You are participating in an invisible conversation with your environment and with others around you through infrasound. Becoming aware of this invisible conversation opens up new possibilities for understanding yourself, others, and the world around you. The concept of the extended mind suggests that your mind is not confined to your brain, but extends into your body and into your environment. Infrasound may be one mechanism through which this extension occurs. Your body's infrasound and the infrasound in your environment are part of your extended mind. By becoming aware of these infrasound phenomena, you are becoming aware of a larger dimension of your mind and consciousness. Becoming aware of the unseen. Throughout this journey, we have explored the invisible world of infrasound and how it shapes your experience of being alive. We have discovered that your body is far more sensitive than you may have realized, that you are constantly detecting and responding to vibrations you cannot consciously hear, and that these invisible vibrations profoundly influence your emotions, your sleep, your health, and your relationships with others. As we conclude this exploration, let us reflect on what this knowledge means for how you live your life and how you relate to your world. The fundamental insight is that reality is far richer and more complex than what your conscious mind perceives. You live in a world of invisible vibrations that are constantly shaping your experience. These vibrations come from natural phenomena, storms, earthquakes, ocean waves, wind. They come from human-made sources, traffic, machines, buildings. They come from your own body, your heartbeat, your breathing, your nervous system activation. All of these vibrations are part of the world you inhabit, and all of them are affecting you, even though you are not consciously aware of them. Understanding this opens up new possibilities for living more consciously and more aligned with your own well-being. If infrasound is affecting your sleep, you can investigate the sources of infrasound in your bedroom and take steps to reduce them. If infrasound in your workspace is creating stress and anxiety, you can work with your employer or your environment to reduce the infrasound. If you are struggling with anxiety or fear that seems to have no obvious source, understanding that infrasound may be playing a role can help you respond more effectively. More broadly, understanding infrasound invites you to recognize that you are not separate from the vibrating universe around you. You are not a consciousness trapped in a body observing a world from the outside. You are an integral part of a vast, interconnected web of vibration and resonance. Your body is constantly in conversation with the world around you through infrasound and other vibrational phenomena. By becoming aware of this conversation, you are awakening to a deeper dimension of your existence. The practice of living consciously with infrasound involves several elements. First is awareness. Begin to notice how different environments affect your state of being. Pay attention to your body's responses to different situations and locations. Develop sensitivity to the subtle vibrations that are always present. Second is intention. Make conscious choices about your environment and your practices based on your understanding of infrasound. Choose environments that support your well-being. Practice activities that enhance your sensitivity and promote resonance with beneficial frequencies. Third is compassion. Recognize that others around you are also sensitive to infrasound, and that collective infrasound environments affect the well-being of everyone in them. Work toward creating environments and communities that support the well-being of all. The relationship between infrasound and consciousness is an area of ongoing exploration and research. Some researchers and philosophers suggest that consciousness itself may be related to vibrational phenomena at various levels of scale, from the quantum level to the cosmic level. Infrasound may be one manifestation of these vibrational phenomena. By becoming aware of infrasound, you may be developing greater sensitivity to the vibrational nature of consciousness and reality itself. The future of infrasound research and application is exciting and full of possibility. As our understanding of infrasound deepens, new therapeutic applications will likely emerge. Architects and engineers will design buildings with greater attention to infrasound, creating spaces that support human well-being. Urban planners will work to reduce sources of harmful infrasound in cities. Sound therapists and healers will develop more sophisticated protocols for using therapeutic infrasound. Scientists will continue to investigate the mechanisms by which infrasound affects the nervous system and human health. But beyond the scientific and technological developments, the most important shift may be the shift in awareness and consciousness. As more people become aware of infrasound and of their own sensitivity to vibration, a collective awakening may occur. People may begin to recognize themselves as vibrational beings living in a vibrational universe. This recognition may lead to greater respect for the natural world, greater compassion for others, and a deeper sense of connection to all of life. The invitation now is to continue this exploration in your own life. Pay attention to the vibrations around you and within you. Notice how different infrasound environments affect your state of being. Experiment with practices that enhance your sensitivity and promote beneficial resonance. Share what you learn with others. Build communities of people who are aware of and working consciously with infrasound. Together, we can create a world where people are more conscious of the invisible forces that shape their lives, and where these forces are increasingly aligned with human flourishing and well-being. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the invisible world of infrasound. If this experience has brought you insight and inner peace, I deeply appreciate a like and a subscription to the Relaxing Science channel. Your support helps us continue creating content that explores the hidden dimensions of human experience and connects you with the deeper layers of reality. In the comments below, please share where you are in the world and what time it is for you. Tell us what resonated most deeply with you from this exploration. Let us know if you'd like to see more content like this, exploring the invisible forces that shape our lives and our consciousness. We want to hear from you, because your voice and your presence matter to this conversation. Until we meet again in the next exploration of the invisible world that surrounds and inhabits you, may you move through your day with greater awareness of the vibrations that connect you to everything around you. May you sense the invisible conversations happening through infrasound. May you find peace in understanding that you are never truly alone, but always connected to the vast, vibrating web of existence. Breathe deeply. Feel the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Listen to the silence that is never truly silent. This is the world of infrasound, and you are part of it. Total.